Usually when I make a video about a Zwift race that I've done, I don't just talk about the Zwift race. Sometimes I talk about some other things, and today it's going to be one of those cases. Hey, cycling community, this is Steve, Grusis the Cycling Greek. But first, let's set the table. Usually when I do a Zwift race, I don't know much about the course. I know part of it, I recognize stuff, but then overall, I really don't. But I've done these mini races so often that I now know what to expect. Even though we have all categories racing together, this particular category is 180 to 350 points. And that's actually a pretty wide range. And so the people that are closer to the 180 points, they're suffering a lot. As for myself, around the end of the off season, I was around the low 300s. And coming into this race, I am 333. Which kind of leads to what I wanted to talk about, my training plan. But first, a little of the action on the screen. Now, this first mini race is one of the tougher ones. There's a lot of climbing in it, and I don't always do well with climbing. As you can see now, there's a lot of people passing me. It could be from my category, it could be from other categories. I don't know. I don't know how to tell the difference. It used to be when they had the letter system, categories A through D or E, that you can tell the color coordination that they have on the right-hand side with the graphics. Now, there's nothing. If there is something and I just don't know it, please let me know in the comments below. In this race, we have 41 people, and it's always my goal to get into the top half. So that means I'm going to have to do 20th or better, and that's overall. And we have maybe 15 in our category, and that means 7 or better. As you can tell, that means I have to pass some people in the next 3.9 miles. Still a lot of time. Currently, I'm in a group of 4. And I have maybe 2 or 3 more riders that are within 2 to 3 seconds that hopefully we're going to catch, and that will get me into the top half, at least for the moment. Now, I have a few riders that are basically 2 to 3 seconds behind, and they'll probably catch up to us, so I'm going to have some people that I'm going to have to fight to get into the top half. Okay, so now let's talk about my training. I started my race season about a month ago. Now, I'm still racing bicycles in my old age. Now, we're talking about USAC racing, USA Cycling Federation racing. My racing district is in northern and central California. The changes I've made to my training plan compared to previous years are because of 2 reasons. One, I'm getting older. I'm now racing age of 70, and in about a few months I will actually be 70. And now being in that new 5-year age group, I have a chance to go to nationals to compete in the 70-75 age group. But I want to feel worthy to be able to do that, especially because of the cost and the travel and all that it's going to take to get over to Wisconsin from California. Usually when I've done out-of-state races before, I was able to drive there. But not this time. Too far away. I'm not retired. I'm still working. The first change that I made was I stopped substituting the really tough workouts with workouts that aren't exactly as tough. So more specifically, what I need to do, and what I've been doing now this year in the off-season too, especially because I'm an old guy, are VO2 max work. Specifically 4x4. So that's 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off, doing 4 of those. What I would do in the past is substitute a Zwift race instead of that VO2 max work. Not the same thing. You don't get the same type of benefit. But let's jump to the action on the screen. So we have less than 2 miles to go. This was like a 5.3 mile race, and I'm keeping my eye on that. I'm in 22nd place, and I'm so close to getting in the top half. On that previous little climb that we had, I pushed it to get up to this group here. I'll be able to react quickly and more effectively from the front. Those 2 separating from us are a bit of concern, but I'm going to ride wheels, and yeah, he pulls me back up there, kind of. I'm activating my drafting boost so I can get a little bit of a boost, but also because we're going to be getting another type of power-up, and I'm hoping it's going to be an arrow power-up, and yes, it's going to be an arrow power-up. So typically, I don't sprint very well, and so I try to get away before everyone gets to the sprint line. Now, this being the first race of the 3 and my warm-up not being the best, I've been suffering in this race more than I wanted to, and so that may make a difference in terms of do I take off early or do I wait for the sprint and just hope for the best. I'm always focusing on, am I going to get in the top half? Jumping ahead to just half a K to go, I already made the decision that on the climb, this is where I was going to pull away. All of a sudden, that stupid notification came up that was going to draw me to the other race, and I had to go turn it off, and then I also went backwards because I did that. So now, I'm chasing these guys, and I'm in 22nd place. I need to get to 20th. With about 500 feet to go, it's now ugly face time. I'm in 20th, but have 2 people on my wheel. I barely get by 62-year-old Sierprocki from Poland for 19th place and 2nd in my category. On to the next one. Where the first race had a bunch of climbing in it, this one has very little climbing in it. In that first race, I saw somebody from my group just shoot out at the start and was able to get on the wheel in one of the other groups. So I thought, I'm going to try this. But when I shot out, there was no one in front of me. So now I'm just trying to catch my breath as people pass me. I'm also laying down some watts, because if I can attach to the people as they're going past me and then I can grab onto that front group, then hopefully I'll be able to finish with them. The problem is, not only am I using a lot of bananas to try and get up to them, but I'm going to have to use a lot of bananas just to stick with them. If you look at me right now in the lower left-hand corner, I'm doing a lot of ugly face. And you see that group is pulling away, so right in there I pretty much know it's bye-bye. Everyone that was on my wheel is now going past me, so now I have to make sure that I just stay with this group and not get dropped from them. Now there's a couple of riders out there that are going, and I'm thinking, oh, it'd be so cool if I was with them, but I just don't have the legs to be able to do that right now, so I'm relying on everyone else. So back to my changes in training. Pretty much during the off season, I was doing a lot of endurance, and then I would throw in once a week that VO2 max workout. Every once in a while, I'd throw in a Zwift race. The endurance I was doing was just that, always pressure on the pedals. Now, when it got to December and November, then I would throw in some intervals in there, such as tempo, and then I was trying to do some sweet spot, particularly actually in January. Depending on the weather, I was riding between 8 and 11 hours per week. As we went into the new year, I was able to increase my hours because I was taking a little bit of vacation, like half days off, and I was doing between 10 and 15 hours a week. Because I increased my hours by 3 to 5 hours a week, I had to be real careful. I stopped doing the sweet spot work. I was doing a more steady endurance work, and also doing the 1 VO2 max work and 1 Zwift race a week. Also, what I was not doing that I did when I was younger were race pace group rides. I still need to sprinkle those in, but the problem is that I just won't last with these guys as I used to, because again, I'm almost 70. I therefore have to be more discerning and pick and choose the groups and the timing and all that. The 10 to 15 hours a week I was doing lasted for 6 weeks, because on that 6th week I started my racing season, and I had 3 races in 1 month. My time on the bike went to 10 to 12 hours. During the race weeks, I dropped the Zwift race, but I kept the VO2 max work. So now you're caught up. My staple is endurance. The first race of the season did not go that well for me. That could have been because I was sick for 2 weeks that I had fully gotten over about 10 days before, and that's probably a contributing factor. But I'm confident that another factor is that I didn't have that group ride race pace work. At my second race, which was on a course that was really not made for me, I did much better. And in the third race, I also did even better than that until I got the flat. All those races are videos with commentary, of course, that I've posted recently onto my YouTube channel. Definitely have to check those out. To the action on the screen, I had to use a drafting boost on the climb because I didn't have the climbing boost. So now I use that to jump away to get up to those 2 riders that are ahead of me. The group in back of me stretched out. I'm hoping that I can get them to there and then rest a little bit. But I ran out of bananas, so I slowed down, and now everybody that was in back of me is now going ahead of me. I'm trying to get my legs to go again so I can at least attach to them and not get dropped. With 39 in this race, I have to get 19th or better. We are now at 2K to go, and it seems like I was having an easier time on that first race that had a lot of climbing, and typically I don't like a lot of climbing in Zwift, even though I like to climb on the road. Jumping ahead just a bit to under 1 mile to go, this is where I make my move. Put in the power. I'm hoping to get a good power up, a feather power up, so I've got to use this right away, I think. I start using it right away. There we go. And now I'm trying to just stay away from these guys. So I have a 1 second gap on them. Some of them are 2 seconds, so they're all spread out. Now, I'm hoping I can maintain this. Obviously, I'm hoping I can maintain this. And so what doesn't happen is that as these guys get closer, then they start to put on the power and pass me before I get to the finish. Now, I spread this video up to 3x, and what's actually happening is that it seems I'm taking so long to get there. We have a bunch of people that pass me. I'm looking behind me. There's no one there, and I just let up because I'm just dying. I get 22nd. I don't get in the top half. Now, I got 8th in my group, but there's 15, so I didn't get in the top half there. On to the third race. Last race, so I want to shoot out from the start, but I don't have a lot of shoot out from my legs, but someone does there. They're starting to get a gap, and they're looking to get up to that group that's ahead of them, which is what I wanted to do, but I'm not sure if I could do it, so I'm just going to ride wheels, and hopefully we'll get there, or at the very least, the second group that forms, I can stay with them. Already I'm in 25th place, and there's 47 people. That means I have to get to 23 or better by the time we get to the end of this race. I'd mentioned in each of the 3 road races that I did, I've been improving in each race, and I have been improving slightly. And it also shows in my VO2 max work. So the power that I was doing, let's say 3 weeks ago, is just a little bit less than what the power I'm doing now in those intervals. I mentioned earlier that I started with 333 points for the Zwift category, and I ended up with about 351. I certainly don't feel worthy enough to go to nationals yet, but I'm on the right path. All right, enough of that. To the action on the screen. I jumped away from the little group I was with in order to get down to these guys. Now they're starting to pull away from me in this climb. I'm slowing up a bit, and the people that were behind me, now they are ahead of me. But hopefully I can recover quick enough, which I appear to be doing. I remember doing this same course 1 or 2 weeks ago, and I'd be doing a lot of coasting just to get my breath back. Now I'm not doing so much coasting. Because I stayed with the group the entire race, we're jumping to 1K to go. I have an aero power up. We picked up a couple more people, so we have 48, and I got to get to 24th place, and I'm at 26th. It's possible. I'm getting worn out. Everyone else is getting worn out. My heart rate is near 150. My maximum that I'm aware of is 160 to 164. We make the final turn. I hit my aero power up. I got to make a couple more places, so I'm putting everything into it. Ugly face, ugly face. I passed somebody else. I did it. I finished in 23rd place and 4th out of 15 in my category. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. As always, remember, comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.